Over the past week, India Today has brought you a series of 4 hard-hitting exposés. The government now reacting to that investigation, ordering a probe. Let me take you through what India Today showed you. First and foremost, we showed how spot trading in cash had skyrocketed, how cash traders were taking 1,000 rupees of 500 or 1,000 rupee notes, converting that into 800 rupees or 500 rupees, essentially how the rupee, old money, was being exchanged and traded in. Second investigation, bullion operators, jewelers, charging a lot of money to convert people's black money into white at double the rate. If the regular rate is 30,000 rupees, at 55 to 60,000 rupees, they were selling 10 grams of gold. Investigation number 3, chartered accountants willing to convert black money to white, charging a 30-40% commission, taking people's black money 3 months later, saying they will give it back as white checks. Investigation number 4, builders, real estate operators, taking black money, turning it into white in equal monthly installments. This series has been taken very seriously at the highest levels in the Modi government from very highly placed sources. We've been told that an investigation has now been ordered and the guilty will not be spared. Here's the story.
India Today's investigative team first exposed touts willing to exchange the revoked high-denomination banknotes with legitimate tenders, purportedly in connivance with bank staff.
अभी हमारे बैंक से कांटेक्ट होते हैं ना, बदलाने हैं तो बदला देंगे, 5 करोड़ बदल जाएंगे। अरे सब काम हो जाते हैं हमारे, तो बाहर से होते हैं, हम बैंक में अंदर जाते ही नहीं है।
हमारा काम कैसा होगा उसका तरीका तो बताओ।
उसका तरीका भी होने दो, अभी आज बैंक छुट्टी है, आज बैंक से काम नहीं हो रहा, कल होगा जो सिस्टम हो रहा है।
2 दिन बाद हो जाएगा काम हमारा।
हाँ सबका हो जाएगा,
पक्का
होगा सब।
5 करोड़ हो जाएंगे एडजस्ट हमारे।
अरे सब हो जाएंगे, अगर बैंक खुला होता तो आज हम तो निपटा देगा। हम लोग सारे 2-5 लाख रुपए आज में।
Next, it was stunning black marketing of gold for revoked banknotes. Bullion traders selling gold at a premium for invalid currency.
हमको तो 1.5-2 लाख के बिल काटने पड़ेंगे, सारा टैक्स खुद भरेंगे। साल के एंड में 30% का प्रॉफिट भी, प्रॉफिट के ऊपर 30% टैक्स वो भी भरेंगे।
India Today showed you how some professional accountants were participating in rampant subversion of nation's boldest attempt to wipe out black money.
30 लाख का चेक दे दिया ना, आप मेरे को 30 लाख के वापस कर देना बाद में मार्च में, फिर आप कैश मिल जाएंगे।
मतलब एज ए इन्वेस्टमेंट आप मेरी XYZ कंपनी
लोन दिखा दो ना, कंपनी में लोन दिखा लेना, फिर हम बैंक में काम करने के लिए लोन लिया मैंने।
India Today also had proof of how some builders were colluding with black money hoarders to launder the huge stock of ill-gotten cash.
आप अभी बता रहे थे कि जिसमें आप वापस भी कर देंगे।
हाँ वापस, हाँ उसमें क्या है, समझ लो आपके पास 2 करोड़ रुपए है, 2 करोड़ रुपए अपने कंपनी को अपने दे दिए, मेरे को दे दिए, वापस आप भी मेरे से ले लेंगे, तो हमने कंपनी को दे दिया, वो आपको 2 करोड़ रुपए की हमने प्रॉपर्टी बुक कर लेंगे, आपके 4 फ्लैट आपके। अब इस केस में क्या है, समझ लो आपके पास वाइट कहीं से आता है, 1 साल 2 साल जब भी आगे जितना टाइम देते हैं,
2-3 लाख रुपए आ गए मेरे पास,
2-3 वाइट में आ गए, तो 2-3 लाख रुपए वाइट में बिल्डर को पेमेंट कर दो, उससे न्यू करेंसी में 2-3 लाख रुपये वापस लो, पैसा
वो मिल जाएगा।
हाँ मिल जाएगा, वो मिल जाएगा।
तो मतलब जैसे जैसे हम पैसा देते रहे,
वो भी आपको वापस उतना उसी रेशो में वो वापस करा,
ब्लैक मनी जो है वो कन्वर्ट होकर नई करेंसी में
आपको मैं दिलवाता।
After India Today's series of explosive investigations, the Modi government has now taken note. Highly placed government sources have told India Today that these investigations are being taken very seriously and that all those who were trying to distort PM's surgical strike on black money will be dealt with strictly by the country's law enforcement agencies. India Today's high-impact investigations have not just exposed those subverting demonetization, but have forced the government to sit up and take action. With Rahul Kaval in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
This investigative series is very important because if demonetization is a good idea and there are people trying to subvert it, that needs to be brought out into the public domain, and it's good that the government has now promised to crack down. We await the results of that investigation. In Parliament though, the winter session got off to a hot start with the Congress squaring off with the BJP, other opposition parties jumping in as well. They called the Modi measure draconian. Chidambaram said this was demonization. The government of course says the opposition is rattled because black money sources are being impacted. Javed Ansari and our political bureau filed this story.
What are you creating? We need to be a foreign.
Cash war breaking out in Parliament, a stormy first day of the winter session.
मैं लुई द 15 से शुरू किया बात तो मेरी इंटरनेट याद आ रही है। याद है ना फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन के टाइम पे वो कहते कि ये लोग अगर they can't find bread, why don't they eat cakes? अब ये मोदी इंटरनेट आ गया हमारे पास। If you do not have paper, use plastic.
काले धन पे सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक हो गई, गजब की बात है। सारे में यही हो गया बेचारा, हर आदमी का सब सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक हो गई।
जांच में हम जैसे किसी आदमी को रखिए, क्योंकि हम बहुत फकीर आदमी हैं।
Anand Sharma led the Congress attack, triggering inner resentment within the party and earning a swift rebuttal from Union Minister Piyush Goyal.
स्विस बैंक में किसका पैसा है? सूची आपके पास है, तो बताएं देश को कि किसका कौन-कौन उस सूची में है।
ये खातों के नाम हम इसलिए नहीं घोषित कर सकते हैं क्योंकि एक बार वो खाते के नाम घोषित कर दिए पब्लिकली, तो जो फॉरेन गवर्नमेंट से, फॉरेन सरकारों से हमें सूचनाएं चाहिए, वो सूचनाएं मिलना बंद हो जाएगा।
As the debate progressed, the opposition assault intensified, labeling it a state of economic emergency and even seeking a joint parliamentary panel's probe.
जब ये कहते कि हमने 10 महीने के बाद फैसला लिया है, तो आज हमें पूरे देश के अंदर जो हाहाकार मचा हुआ नजर आ रहा है, अफरा तफरी का माहौल है, मैं समझती हूँ कि ये हमें अफरा तफरी का माहौल देखने के लिए नहीं मिलता।
Today what has been demonetized, what is called as demonetized, or what is actually a withdrawal of these notes, is 86% of our cash transactions today are done in these two notes. The country today is living on transactions of 40%. Cash transaction, because the replacements are not there.
Sir, this is literally a war on corruption and blackmail. You have to decide on which side you are. Yes, it's a war. It's a war. It's a Mahayajna. You have to decide.
The storm was not restricted to the parliament as West Bengal CM Mamata Banerjee led a small opposition group, Omar Abdullah, BJP's ally Shiv Sena and the Aam Aadmi Party, and marched in protest to the Rashtrapati Bhavan.
परफॉर्मिंग जो एसेट है, लाख करोड़, ये 6 महीना में बढ़ गया कैसे? इसमें भी इन्वेस्टिगेशन होना चाहिए। और जो वॉलंटियर स्कीम जो डिक्लेयर हुआ, एक पैसा भी जमा नहीं पड़ा। 65,000 आपने अनाउंस किया, एक पैसा 65,000 करोड़ इनकम डिक्लेरेशन स्कीम में अनाउंस किया, एक पैसा भी अभी तक जमा नहीं पड़ा। इसका मतलब क्या होता है? बिग ब्लैक स्कीम हो गया।
But the opposition camp appeared divided as the Congress and left boycotted Mamata's march.
On the first day of Parliament's winter session in Rajya Sabha, political leaders across party lines took on government for its implementation of the monetization policy. The government came in its strong defense in its unwavering fight against the black money. Mamata Banerjee's much talked about march happened, but it failed to muster as much support as she would like to have. But the opposition seems to be relentless, and now it is planning more protests under a single umbrella within and outside the parliament. With camera person Wahid Beg, Atir Khan in Delhi for India Today.
So we've been hearing from a lot of politicians over the past week what do the economists feel? I've got 4 key questions which have cropped up over the last few days, and I will be putting those questions to the economists for their expert advice. So let's begin the India Today Economists Face-Off. I want to begin by introducing Arvind Virmani, former Chief Economic Advisor to the Government of India. Devendra Sharma is an economist. Prasenjit Bose is an economist. They're joining us on this broadcast. I want to go across to Dr. Arvind Virmani first. My first question, Dr. Virmani, will demonetization hurt India's growth story? There's a report out by India Ratings which suggests that India could lose the tag of the world's fastest growing economy because of the impact of demonetization. Their assertion is because real estate, gold and informal sectors see a high amount of cash transactions. As that money is sucked out, the Indian growth story could slow down. Do you agree with that assessment, and by how much, sir?
So first, my first tweet on the 9th after the demonetization was that for 1 or 2 weeks, the retail trade, and I specifically said goods and services, i.e. including everything, is likely to collapse. So that part is true, but that is curable. That is, as soon as you inject the transaction demand for cash back into the economy, this part of the problem should disappear. Unfortunately, it seems like the government's planning and operational implementation of this reintroduction of new cash has been a little slower than one would have expected. Second part.
So can you estimate this as former Chief Economic Advisor? If I were to ask you, Dr. Virmani, for a broad stroke estimate, in the next quarter, how much do you see India's GDP come down by?
Well, that's like estimating how long they'll take to put the currency back. I don't know. I mean, you have to restore at least 15 to 20% of the currency which has been sucked out back into the economy. If it takes 2 weeks, there will be a very little impact. If it takes a month, there will be more impact. So it all depends. I mean, these are wild guesses of how long they will take to inject this money back in the economy. I'm afraid these kind of wild guesses I'm not able to make.
Okay, Devendra Sharma, do you believe demonetization hurts the India growth story? Because a counter argument can be that a lot of cash that's essentially out of circulation is now brought back into circulation. Banks in some senses are being remonetized, and therefore, while there may be an impact in the short term, if you look at the medium to long run, it is not necessarily that demonetization is a bad idea in the long run. A lot of supporters would say it actually helps the India growth story. Devendra Sharma.
Well, the day it happened, I recall that I had said it's a master stroke. But the more I study, the more I analyze, I realize it is just a kind of a collateral advantage. Basically, primarily, the government is trying to help the banks because banks are in a precarious condition and they need recapitalization at a phenomenal pace. And that is what the government is doing. They are trying to take out the household savings from the ordinary people, and that goes as deposits into the banks. So basically, the idea is to save the banks. And let me tell you that the other part of black money coming out is a collateral advantage, which is of course being taken very positively or being used very conveniently by the party in command to say that they are cracking on black money. I don't think black money will come out significantly in this entire process, and so therefore it will be business as usual after a couple of weeks or so.
So you believe there will be a hit on the India growth story? Do you see growth numbers come down, Devendra Sharma?
Again, there I will agree with Professor Virmani that, let's wait and see how quickly we do it. But let me share with you that I read a report just now on Business Standard which says if the way we are printing money to fill up the gap, it will take us 1 year. If we were to really speed up by 3 times, it will take still 108 years to meet the requirement. So I think we have a long way to go as far as currency coming back into the market.
Prasenjit Bose, your sense on my first question. We're already seeing sales in malls, in kirana shops go down because people don't have cash. Do you believe this over the next 3 months, 6 months, possibly even a year, hits the India growth story, could take away the tag of India being the fastest growing economy in the world?
Well, to begin with, I don't attach much importance to being the fastest growing economy in the world at a time when the world economy itself is in the doldrums. The point is that the Indian growth story itself is quite suspect. You know that the growth numbers by the which have been put forward by the government have been questioned by many eminent economists, including the government's own economic advisor. So I don't want to get into the India growth story. What is the impact of this demonetization? It's a huge liquidity shock to the economy, and demand has been drained out completely. The markets, many markets have come to a standstill. So naturally, it is a demand shock, and as Professor Virmani has correctly pointed out, the longer this demand shock persists, the greater is going to be the impact. Now, we don't know how prepared the government is to replace the liquidity that has been sucked out. It seems that they are completely ill-prepared, and therefore, I presume that it is going to be really, it will knock maybe a few percentage points of the GDP numbers. But the problem is that when there is such a demand shock, it impacts different people differently. I would say that the biggest impact is on the informal sector of the economy, the poor people, the farmers.
Yes, painting a very dismal picture. You're suggesting this could take away multiple points of the India growth numbers. Rajiv Kumar has been one of the big proponents of the Prime Minister's surgical strike on black money. And I want to introduce to the Economist Face-Off Dr. Rajiv Kumar, Senior Fellow at the Centre for Policy Research. We just heard from Devendra Sharma and Prasenjit both arguing that demonetization hits the India growth story, that India's status as the world's fastest growing economy is now in danger. Would you agree or disagree?
I completely disagree with this dismal story, simply because for starters, the agriculture incomes are not affected by this step, because all agricultural incomes are outside the black money net. The other part of the story is that, let me first just this other part of the story is that the small traders who are supposed to be now dying of lack of liquidity, etc., I have not seen such a dismal scenario anywhere. Businesses are going on as usual. Yes, the economic activity is down, but it is there is no and if at all there is a problem, it's a transitory problem. But the most important point for me is that this step is going to improve the moral fiber and the social fabric of the country. For the first time, the honest people feel that there is something that is...
We will deal with the moral fiber in just a moment. Right now, we're looking at concrete numbers. One second, Prasenjit wants to respond. Yes, Prasenjit, very quickly.
We are debating the economy.
Sure, absolutely. That's the point I made to Dr. Kumar as well. We're dealing with jobs, we're dealing with growth at a time when people don't have money to spend. Products are not being bought. As a natural consequence, there will be an impact on the GDP numbers. Are proponents not living in a bubble, Dr. Kumar?
Absolutely, they are living in a bubble. You see, what Dr. Kumar said is so incorrect.
The proponents are not living in a bubble.
Please hear me out.
No, one second, gentlemen, one at a time. I don't want both guests speaking at the same time. 1 second, I'll moderate this debate. Prasenjit Bose wants to intervene very quickly, and then I will have Rajiv Kumar respond. Go ahead, Prasenjit.
Yeah, my point is that Dr. Kumar just said that the farm sector is out of the ambit because it's not, there is no question of taxation or black money. The point is here is not black money. The point is demonetization. They also use cash. The farmers' fields are now today full with harvestable crops, but when they bring that crop to the market, there is no cash. That is the whole
carried
point.
Reports, Dr. Kumar, of farmers saying that they're not able to pay laborers because they have no cash to pay the laborers with. Those are problems even farmers are dealing with, Dr. Kumar.
Absolutely.
Every farmer in this country who grows either paddy or wheat can sell his entire crop to the government procurement agencies, for which they are credited the money in the bank account almost instantly. It is absolutely false. The only people who are being hurt are the brokers and the middlemen and the intermediaries.
This is so wrong. What is the percentage of procurement out of your total agricultural output?
It is very sad for me. It is very sad for me. They can always sell. They can always sell to them. And this is the whole purpose of the minimum support price. The government extends the minimum support price for unlimited procurement in times of, and they can sell at any time of
Okay,
distress.
let's try and wrap up part one of this debate. What we've understood from our four guests. One second, because I have 4 questions to take. Let's just wrap up part one. What we've understood from our 4 guests, at least 3 of them agree that there could be a slip in GDP numbers. They're not certain of how much growth rates will fall by. That depends on how quickly we're able to pump cash back into the economy. Question number 2, and to my mind, possibly the most important question, will demonetization curb the menace of black money in the long run? That's the avowed purpose. That's my second question on the Economist's face-off. Will demonetization curb the menace of black money in the long run? I want to put that question first to Dr. Arvind Virmani.
So you have to think of this question in the context of what has been already done before. For example, the black money bill, which was directed at the external sector, the real estate bill, and the announcements about various tax measures like the GST and the intention to reform the corporate income tax. All these are part of a system of changes which will curb black money, but it's not enough. There are other things which need to be done. One of the important effects of this measure, which is a positive, we've all discussed the negatives, which is a positive, is that this current year there will be a larger declaration. You know, if I may connect to your story, what some of those CAs and all are basically saying is that they can collect this money and declare it and pay 35% tax. So if you give them that 5% commission, you get 60 back. That's kind of how that part would work. But anyway, the important thing is the revenue collections are going to go up because of greater declaration, not necessarily because of higher GDP, which I agree with you is likely to be a little lower than what I had predicted myself, for example. So the important thing is the government to utilize this extra money by lowering the interest rates, the tax rate on individual income, plus taking other measures like lowering the circle rate, lowering stamp duty, etc., which will sustain.
So the point that you're making is that just by
money,
itself, demonetization may not curb the menace of black money in the economy, but add to it other measures like GST, possible reform of the tax structure as well. Then you could see an impact on black money in the long run. Prasenjit Bose, do you agree with Dr. Virmani?
That's right.
Well, you see, I would not like to comment on other reforms because your question is very specific.
Correct.
Whether this will curb black money.
Yes.
I think that to the extent it will, it is not worth this pain. It will be a very minuscule percentage for 3 reasons. Number 1, black money is primarily not stored in cash. Black money is primarily stored in terms of gold, in terms of Benami property, and bulk of it is abroad, lying in Swiss banks and you know all the Panama papers and all these offshore bank accounts. This government has done nothing to curb black money from the actual source of black money, number 1. Number 2 is, and by the way, the income tax rates data show that only 5 to 6% of black money being caught in our country in this financial year, only 5% of it is in cash. Number 2, because of the kind of things, activities that your expose shows, that means money laundering is happening at a very, very large scale. Therefore, much of this so-called black money in cash will find its way back into the
system. That's an important counter from
money
Prasenjit Bose. Let me put that question to Dr. Rajiv Kumar. A series of investigations carried out by India Today showed Jugaad mechanics are working overtime. One second, Prasenjit, you've spoken. I want to bring in Rajiv Kumar, please. So essentially, people with black money, the assertion goes, Dr. Kumar, will find some way or the other of trying to convert at least a part of that black money into white. Our investigation shows that 60% comes back to them, 40% is lost, but 60% still comes back. So on the specific issue, whether demonetization is worth the fuss, worth the hysteria, worth the hype, you've got 2 responses saying not true. Demonetization by itself will not have any major impact on the amount of black money circulating in the economy. Do you agree or disagree, Dr. Kumar?
I disagree again, I'm afraid. because this question has to be dealt in two parts: the stock of black money and the flow of black money. Quite clearly, the stock of black money will be curbed, will be restricted, will be killed. You said 60%, that's anybody's guess. And the fact that people keep saying that black money is in circulation and not hoarded, it is totally wrong. What you've heard very often is that people have warehouses of black money stashed away, because there are industries, the whole verticals of which 50% or 60% of the product is all dealt in cash and black money, liquor and real estate being two such examples. So the stock will surely be hurt. Second point, after this act, there is a sense of fear if you go to the market, and therefore people are now resisting or discouraged from dealing in cash economy. Everybody is trying to get you into the formal economy. So they
point, let Devendra Sharma respond that so far there was no sense of fear. People
this is
very clearly believed that they could get away with it, Devendra Sharma, and therefore there was no fear. Now there's an element of fear that's been injected. I spoke to two prominent psychiatrists today. Both of them said the number of people coming and complaining about the fact that their black money was now useless was going up. They were having mental issues as a consequence. That fear factor, Dr. Rajiv Kumar believes, will be an important factor in ensuring that in the future people are not as callous, so cavalier when it comes to just converting their money into black. Devendra Sharma.
I don't think so that there would be a fear psychosis prevailing as far as black money is concerned. The reason is very simple. People are not foolish. They are looking at the real source of black money, if that is being curbed or not. For instance, we believe much of the black money is with the politicians, with the political parties. Now political parties are not coming under scanner. Mahatma Gandhi had said that be the change that you want the others to be. Now, if they had set an example by setting these political parties or bringing it under at least right to information. If there is no black money there, what is the harm in bringing in a right to information? That's one area which they are not attempting, and I presume we know all why it is not happening. Second part is the bigger source is the business and the industry. Now, if you are not able to divulge the name of those whose NPAs have been written off or who have bank accounts abroad and so on and so forth, people are very convinced that
is not the point. Rajiv Kumar respond,
kind of a
because both Prasenjit and Devendra Sharma make the point. One second, one question at a time. Not everyone together.
Absolutely.
Dr. Rajiv Kumar, one second. Dr. Rajiv Kumar, Prasenjit argues that a majority of the black money is in real estate. It's in gold, it's possibly stashed abroad in Swiss bank accounts, Panama accounts. You have not done anything so far to target that, and therefore to suggest that demonetization by itself will lead to a fall in the amount of black money is a flawed argument. How do you respond, Dr. Rajiv Kumar?
The very fact that the speculative demand from real estate sector is now going to be killed, and which was used for money laundering and for putting the for getting the black money in, would mean that the real estate prices will drop, and the real estate prices dropping would mean that all those who held those assets are now suffering a huge loss, which will discourage further such investment, and it will make real estate more available to the first time buyers, and will also bring down, while bringing down the prices, would also, by the way, the second aspect of that is that banks, having now got lakhs of crores of extra deposits, will drop the rates both on their deposits and on the lending, so that real estate will become more affordable and EMI
That's a very good point, because Prasenjit Bose, the fact is that in future real estate will be cheaper. Black money being sucked out, prices already down. I'll play out a report in a moment from now. Prices coming down because no one's coming out to buy. Therefore, builders forced to reduce prices, bring it down to a more equitable level, bring it down to a more real level instead of living in this bubble that's actually fueled by black money. Prasenjit Bose.
No, you see, the point is, I don't really know what exactly the argument for demonetization is. Is it to curb black money? Is it to bring down real estate prices? Is it to, I don't know. Now one would argue that demonetization is going to solve our problem of hunger, the problem of poverty. What exactly is the argument? No, please hear me out, sir. Please hear me out.
What is this?
The point is that this demonetization measure is premised on,
but Prasenjit, you're not
this is
making
just
a point.
premised on a very simple accounting exercise. No, sir, you please hear me now. It is based on a very simple accounting exercise. Your point is that the Reserve Bank has a certain calculation of the amount of 500 and 1000 notes in circulation. You have given a window till when this money can be exchanged, and if the amount of money that will not be exchanged, we will say that this is the black money destroyed. My first point is that through money laundering, a lot of that money will already be exchanged. So if black money becomes white, then what are we talking about? Then, because we have never demanded demonetization. My point is, I want the black money holders to be caught, to be arrested, to be prosecuted, and also their property to be confiscated. That is all that happening. They are all, they are just sitting pretty and laundering their money. Now,
important
if you think
counter,
that money
Dr.
laundering is
Rajiv
a
Kumar
good
must
thing to
respond. If a lot of that money gets laundered, converted from black into white, it doesn't serve any purpose. That black money may have been black earlier, but now becomes white.
The biggest punishment that a black money holder can get is to see its value disappear in smoke, as it will does when the asset prices go down. And that is what is happening today to the real estate, and undoubtedly will happen to the other assets that they might be holding.
Disagree.
The other point of course is just one second. The other point of course is that there is a huge proportion of black production taking place in the parallel economy, which will not happen now because they will be covered, because all that cash that is being generated out of that is not going to be used anymore.
The experts have spoken of real estate and the impact this will have on real estate. I now bring you a report put together by my colleague Devina Gupta. We will continue the Economist Face Off in just a moment. But before that, take a look at how the real estate sector has virtually come to a standstill. In the immediate aftermath of the announcement, a lot of people went in with their black money trying to buy deals. Builders were also willing, but when it comes to future deals, builders are paranoid. They're saying there is no customer coming forward willing to buy. Here's the story.
A week after Prime Minister's big demonetization announcement, India is still caught up in cash chaos. But it's those with unaccounted cash who are getting desperate. India Today's special investigation revealed how real estate agents were willing to convert black money into white.
जब से ये 500,000 के नोट बैन हुए उसके बाद से डीले आई हैं ब्लैक मनी के एडजस्टमेंट
आ जाएंगे सर, आज आ जाएंगे। कल तो पूरे दिन सब कुछ वही है, लोग अपने सीए से बात कर रहे हैं।
A black hole now exposed, the real estate sector is now preparing for the ultimate fallout.
According to property market experts, the ratio remains 60-40 for the white. But those deals in which black money is used in huge quantity has come to a halt.
As an immediate aftermath, the real estate sector is feeling the heat.
Generally, real estate is a large ticket item. In cases, even if there's a cash component or not, perhaps one might like to just hold and wait. And I definitely do see transaction value or volumes definitely coming down.
So as the land transaction deals come to a halt, many desperate to get rid of their hoarded cash are taking the realty route in the secondary market, where premium is driving up to 30% on the existing circle rate, especially in Mumbai, Delhi and Bengaluru. But the IT officers are keeping a strict vigil on any artificial spike in realty transactions.
Whenever this money is available to be employed in the real estate, the asset value appreciates so much. It creates a space for itself. The value gets escalated so that this money gets parked, and then you get into a prolonged no appreciation zone.
But in the long term, it's a mixed bag for realty sector, which has seen a dip in sales. From July to September, there has been a 22% sale decline across 8 major cities, including Gurgaon, Noida and Mumbai, with only 40% houses sold. The good news for those who want to buy their first home, especially in Tier 2 cities. They could see discounted offers in affordable housing segment where traditionally salaried class invest with loans and accounted wealth. But luxury home buyers, where investors prefer to stash their wealth, could face dip in sales. Many buyers could opt out with a fear of coming under scrutiny and inability to invest hoarded cash.
Business class people will have little bit of impact. The kind of impact will have slowdown will be there for a couple of months. After a year's time, even the luxury class properties will be basically at a decent place.
So while the developers hold their breath for the initial storm to pass, from cash cures, it's a realty shake-up for the sector, from Benami property crackdown to now squeezing out the liquidity from the sector. It's the cleanup drive in India's realty sector. With Devina Gupta and Virendra Singh Gunawat, Bureau Report, India Today.
Things, at least in the short term, not looking good for the real estate sector. Hopefully, we will see a correction and prices will come down to more reasonable levels. I now come to the third and final part of the Big Economist Showdown. My question now, is it right to say that demonetization, even if it's a good idea, has not been properly rolled out? Could it have been planned better? Or is it just so gigantic an exercise that there are bound to be roadblocks in its implementation? Here's the question. Who's to blame for poor implementation of demonetization? I put that question first to Rajiv Kumar. We're seeing the huge queues. The government says, bear with us. This is unavoidable. Things will stabilize. Do you think that's a fair response and people should have patience, or do you believe demonetization hasn't been well executed? Dr. Rajiv Kumar.
Well, clearly there has been some glitches, and it could have been implemented better, it could have been planned better, but I must say that it is not the job of the Prime Minister to look into all these details and all these sort of nitty-gritty things. This was the job of the people and the civil servants concerned and the banking staff concerned. They could have done a much better job. Having said it, I also know for a fact that money mules and brokers and intermediaries have filled the queues, which is a tragedy, because this just shows that we have no interest in taking and in helping a measure which will help the state of the economy in the medium term.
Dr. Arvind Virmani, I've been speaking to some ministers. They say that there is no way we could have done this better because secrecy was paramount. The more people would have known about it, the more the chance of a leak, the more the chance of the whole process being circumvented. They say we realize that there are hardships, but these are unavoidable. Do you buy that as a fair argument, or do you believe heads need to roll for the manner in which demonetization has been executed? Dr. Virmani.
So let me answer it technically in the form of information. So firstly, monetization, currency supply, demonetization is technically the job of the central bank. If they were told in advance that on such and such a date it would happen, after that it's their responsibility. However, there have been reports in the press, which I do not know whether they are true or not, that decisions were accelerated or delayed and so on. That deceleration, that decision on timing would really be the responsibility of the government. So the people who are involved from the government, there used to be in my time JS for in charge of the mints. There used to be JSs in charge of financial sector. They would be involved in the issue of timing. They may have also been involved in the decision about how much was currency replacement was needed. So I cannot say from outside who is responsible.
Okay, both Rajiv Kumar and Arvind Virmani saying there may have been issues, Prasenjit Bose, but if there were issues, they weren't at the level of the Prime Minister. They were at the level of, say, the RBI team led by Urjit Patel, or by people in the Finance Ministry who were responsible for looking at the execution, the rollout. Do you think that's a fair point, or since the decision was taken at the highest levels, therefore the responsibility must lie there too?
Absolutely. Not only two, the responsibility lies squarely on the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister, first of all, clearly lacks a basic understanding of what the meaning of cash is in an economy like India's, especially of an economy of India's size. And he is the one who thinks that fighting a war against terrorism or Pakistan is the same as fighting a war against black money. And he has done a surgical strike, which today the Supreme Court is saying you are carpet bombing your own people. So, clearly the responsibility lies with the Prime Minister, and they were not prepared. They were not prepared by printing the new currency notes. They were not prepared in terms of the preparation which the banking system itself had to go through. Today, the kind of limits, absurd limits. I want to withdraw my own money and I can't withdraw more than
Rajiv Kumar, Prasenjit Bose argues that the decision was taken at the highest levels. Therefore, the responsibility too must rest at the highest levels. You can't blame the RBI governor or some joint secretary mint in the finance ministry. They're not the decision makers. The decision maker must take responsibility. Dr. Kumar.
The job of the decision maker is to take the decision, is to have courage to take the political risk and bring about political support for the decision taken, which I must assert that the Prime Minister has done his best to mobilize the popular support in defense of this measure. The job of the Prime Minister is not, and I repeat, not to look into the bandobast of the actual delivery and
Devendra Sharma, do you agree that you can't hold the Prime Minister accountable for bandobast?
It's like asking the
appalling argument.
It's like asking the general to go. It is like asking the general to go and arrange at the front line as to how the soldiers are firing their shots.
Let Devendra
I am
Sharma
blaming
respond.
the general for fighting a wrong war.
Devendra Sharma.
I think Mrs. Indira Gandhi was once asked by a journalist. Mrs. Indira Gandhi was once asked by a journalist as to what makes Indira Gandhi, and she had said that she chases her decisions. I think any Prime Minister or any head of the state, if he takes credit for something, he has also to take responsibility for the execution of that. So I presume that the Prime Minister must now, since we know everything has gone wrong as far as demonetization has taken place, especially in the rural areas, the economy is devastated, and the people are feeling the pinch of it in a very hard way. I think it is time to for the Prime Minister or the top man to really take up a tough, a kind of action against
I'm out of time, and I'm going to end this newsroom showdown. I'm very glad that we had this conversation because we've seen a lot of noise, but we haven't seen much sense, detailed analysis, cutting-edge, incisive perspective, and that's what these four gentlemen have given us. I won't tell you which line to take. That's for you, our viewer, to decide. But you've heard from four different parts of the ideological spectrum on whether demonetization will deliver the required results. For the time being, Dr. Rajiv Kumar, Arvind Virmani, Devendra Sharma, Prasenjit Bose for joining me on The Economist's Face-Off on the newsroom. Thank you very much. A time when households across the country are struggling to find cash, many people who had marriages scheduled are finding it difficult to be able to pay all the baratwalas, all the poolwalas. The Reddy brothers of Karnataka, remember the infamous mining brothers, seem to have had no problem at all. They invited stars to come and sing and dance at their wedding. They created palaces. They had 3,000 security guards in attendance. And also the former Chief Minister of Karnataka, B.S. Yedurappa, who showed up despite being told by his party not to attend the big fat Reddy wedding. Rohini Swami was present during the wedding. She files this story.
It's a wedding straight out of a fairy tale. When the 21-year-old daughter of mining baron Gully Janardhan Reddy was married, no expense was spared. The setting was elaborate, spread over several acres. Thousands invited. Pomp and grandeur was unmatched.
It's the big fat Reddy wedding that we are seeing here, and the grandeur, splendor and the culture of the Vijayanagara Empire has been replicated here, and this is what the mining baron Mr. Janardhan Reddy wanted to portray portray, because he felt that he wanted to showcase the culture and the tradition of the land that he belongs to, and he has left no stone unturned when it comes to this.
Coming as it does at a time when people are literally scrounging for cash. Lining up outside ATMs and banks, many middle-class wedding households are desperate. A lawyer has now lodged a complaint with the Income Tax Department.
Where he got the money? Because if I have any identity cards like a ID, any ID, driving license, Aadhaar card, identity like way, I am entitled only to withdraw 2,500 rupees. So at this juncture, where he got the money? The bank accounts have been seized and properties. So this raises me a lot of questions.
But that did not stop the topmost rung of the BJP in Karnataka from participating in the celebrations. Apparently, despite the party's diktat to refrain.
This is not correct, madam. No instruction from the center, and they don't interfere in such matter at all. And that is my duty to attend my friends' marriages. That's why with all our friends we are.
Diktat or not, how does Yediyurappa, rubbing shoulders with a man out on bail in a case of large-scale corruption, square with his party and the PM's all-out war against black money? But the opposition has found the opportunity to question whether a potential ally's suspect wealth is kosher in the time of crackdown, and more importantly, does it not rub salt into the wounds of those who are struggling to get cash for their own household functions?
To my mind, what I've read in the newspapers is certainly quite shocking. There is a larger policy at stake in this country, and I must say that those who have made the policy should have thought not only about the fat cats with their big fat weddings, but also about the Aam Aadmi and the trouble that they have.
The big fat Reddy wedding will surely go down as one of the most lavish ones this year. But will he be able to explain how he managed to get the cash together despite his assets being confiscated during a corruption investigation? With Rohini Swami and Nolan Pinto in Bengaluru and Brijesh Pandey in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
That's a ground report from the big fat Reddy wedding. This is where we are ending the newsroom tonight. I look forward to seeing you at 10 p.m. tomorrow evening with another action-packed edition of the newsroom. Till then, from all of us here in the India Today newsroom, goodbye, good night.